we've gone through your life at Stanford. You left Stanford, went to McKinsey. We've gone through your time now with the design thinking program. So let's soften up a bit. We want to know more about Ayushi as an individual. I've seen that you are a very good swimmer. When I was doing research, I've seen you actually said when you started that you participated also in competitions at Stanford while you were so young. So I want us to move more onto that side. So, but before we move to that side, just one last question. So, Ayushi Chandaria, obviously we want to know, like, you've grown up in a family where business has been one of the things that has been very championed. I think around, if you just mention that name, it's related to business. And people often want to know, like, what advice will you pick from interacting and engaging with Chandaria? Like, if I was sitting and I just wanted one valuable advice for business, what would I pick? If I was to ask you, what have you picked from being around Chandaria and the likes? Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm actually going to give two pieces of advice that I've received from my grandfather,
Yeah.
2 or 3. The first one being that you just have to be willing to put in the hard work. Like, you're not going to get anywhere until you're willing to put in the time and the effort yourself.
Okay.
I think that's just one that stuck with me. I know, like, no matter what, like, you're not going to achieve anything unless you put in, like, your blood. That's something I've seen and heard from my grandfather.
Yeah.
It's, as much as you, like, finally, it's who you are as a person, how you, like, react to, like, situations in your life, how you like talk to the people around you, that really shows who you are as who you are. And you're still you, no matter how much you achieve, and you have to treat people well, be humble about your achievements.
Yeah.
So I think that's the second one. And the last one, which I don't know if I've necessarily heard, but I've seen from my grandfather, is like, you're never too important, you're never too busy, or never too busy to, like, spend time and make family and friends a priority.
Okay.
And I've seen my grandfather do that, like, throughout time. When I was young, with, like, my friends who have come visited Kenya, I've seen how, like, he'll always put in the extra effort just because they're my friends, or just because they're their family. No matter how busy he is, he could be going to meet the president at 4, but he'll come and sit, have lunch with our family, like, 1 to 3 before.
Okay.
And I think that's something which I've just learned, like, seeing him, like, how to really prioritize, like, family, friends, like, be humble and be willing to put all your work in.
Okay.
So those are the 3 pieces of advice I receive.
Nice, interesting.
And I take to heart.
So work hard, be humble, and time for family and friends.
Yep. That's how we'll summarize it.
Mm.
Yep. And what are the...
Yes.
I also like knowing so much what really influences someone, because, like, for us, when we started in business, we had not met some characters who have been very, very influential. For example, we were recently talking about how reading certain books have been very, very influential in our lives. So we do believe that meeting certain people, reading certain books, listening to certain podcasts, going through certain articles can really influence someone in particular ways. So we'd love to know so much what has influenced you to look at life and to think and to do your things in certain ways. What books, podcasts, articles, people would you point out someone to try and get what influenced you the most?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go back to family and say family has influenced me the most.
Yeah.
I think it's the people, like, I've spent the most time with. I grow up, and it's not always seeing, like, the shiny, perfect moments in people's lives, but seeing how they deal with things, like seeing family members deal with things that are less than ideal.
Yeah.
And seeing them come out on the other side even stronger, which is what's, like, really inspired me.
Okay.
I think, a big reason I'm wanting to do stuff in this more social impact and education sector in Kenya is just seeing, like, how my grandfather has done that and created so much impact. Crazily, like, the photographer at the final pitch session actually got, like, a scholarship from Chandaria Foundation, and that's what made him a photographer. And just hearing that, like, I realized, like, we've actually, like, there's so much impact that my grandfather has made.
Yeah.
And I just, like, want to do the same thing.
Okay.
I think that's one of the big things. Other thing is, I think the people, I'm the kind of person, like, I do like reading, books about people like Michelle Obama, whoever it is, Michael Phelps, into swimming, but I
Yeah.
do think for me it's the people I know as opposed to like people I read about, because I think a book sometimes shows a one-sided curated version of a person's life,
Yeah.
whereas when you know a person, you see everything, and you like, I think that's what I generally get inspired by, seeing how people react in different situations, and like, seeing that, okay, this is something I admire in someone I know, and this
Yeah.
is what I want to try and emulate in my own life.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Because for us, at the same time, we tend to learn a lot from both our failures and failures of other people, and we take it as not really a failure, but a lesson that you've learned, something that has added to your arsenal, such that you cannot repeat that mistake yet again. What about you? Are there any failed entrepreneurships or programs you started that didn't really take off, and you learned from it and improved from there? Are there any that you can point out to at your young age?
Paperstone is an award-winning online global forex and CFD broker. It offers unparalleled service, exceptional pricing, and quick execution speed.
Yeah, so I'll say that I've tried numerous initiatives, especially in Kenya, and like some of them worked, some of them didn't. I started a paraplegic swim team, and not that I think it was like things didn't work. I just think it was very tough. I was only like 16 maybe, trying to navigate like the world of adults, like, Kenya, the Olympic Committee, Kenya Swimming Federation. And I definitely think there were times when things like didn't happen the way we wanted them to. And I remember just thinking, look, this is like, I'm looking at a big picture. This one competition that didn't work out the way we wanted, this one funding opportunity. So I would look at it being like, okay, I'm looking at the whole thing in the grand scheme of things. This is such a whole thing, like to keep just pushing forward. Yeah. And then most recently, like with the design program in high schools, the program's still new, but given, understanding that COVID was a new thing for the world, students couldn't even get to that like regular maths and English lessons. Design thinking wasn't in the picture for like most high school students. I think that was something which and demotivating for me, thinking, look, all this work won't turn into anything. But that's when I like reflected and realized, look, maybe a university program, which, if something does go wrong, most people have access to internet, a computer, like, and can do that's how I used it to transition and try and like grow the program even bigger. So I think it worked on. It's not a failure. It's a small thing in like the long journey eventually.
Okay. So, and swimming, I'd love to know more about your swimming. At what age did you start swimming? How did you develop that? Did you have any daily routine, a trainer or something? Or it's just something that you started and you picked up, became a hobby, you became good at it and thrived at it? Or it's something, how was it, your swimming life? Let's talk about your swimming life.
Terrified of the water.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put a toe into this. I did end up learning to swim quite late, at almost 8 years old. But it just like worked. I did my first competition at 8. I won a bronze medal. I think I still have it at home somewhere. Gold medal. And that's where I really realized I enjoy swimming. This is something I'm good at as well. And it was just a progression, like progressing up the ranks in my school team. And at some point I was swimming in Nairobi because I would spend like my family lives there, so I'd spend a lot of my summers and holidays in Kenya. And I was just told by a swimming coach in Nairobi, like, wow, you're really good. What are your times? I proceeded to send him my swimming times from my club in Singapore. And the next thing we know is I got an invitation for Kana Zone 3 and 4, which is like a junior national team event for Kenya.
Okay.
And after that, swimming became like a big part of my life. I would swim twice a day, some days, maybe 8 or 9 times a week for 2 hours each.
Yeah.
Outside of school, the main sessions, I would swim in Kenya or with the national team. And, I've been able to travel. Like, I've been to Doha, Hong Kong. Like, I've been to lots of places, like with the Kenya national team. And then with my school team, a lot of Southeast Asia. So swimming has been something which, like, taught me discipline, hard work, but also something which has given me like the opportunity to travel, meet really interesting people.
Yeah.
My roommate at one of the competitions in Dubai was actually went to the Olympics for Kenya in like last year. So
Okay.
just like
Interesting.
being able to look on TV and be like, I shared a room with this girl was very cool.
Amazing.